Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I will explain how with Matomo Analytics you can measure the performances of a given button. For example, for the CTA button that we have here, which is get a quote in comparison to another CTA, which will be click me. So that's what this video is about comparing the performances of a CTA named click me in comparison to another CTA, which is named get a quote, and see which one is performing better than the other one. I have not yet tested all that out in real time, so probably this video will not be as good as I expect. I will introduce two methods. The first one, which is, let's say, the cheapest one. So just with tracking an event, and then I will do it with fancier way, which is by using a premium plugin, which is called the A/B testing. So let's get started. So here I have a website. On my website, I wish I had a button. So I'm just going to take one of my page up here. So let's go over here and let's take this page, right? On this page, I'm going to add a button. So I'm just going to go go down over here and let's just add. I'm going to add it at the beginning like this. It's going to be easier. So let's say, hey, here I have a button. So I'm just going to move to HTML. So yep, here I am. Let's do something like this. And let's say, okay, so I have a button. Yep. Nice. So I'm not a rock star in HTML. I may write it wrong. And I'm going to give it an ID. ID is going to be CTA. I need this information in order to use a tag manager. And I'm just going to name it, we said click me, right? So let's see how it goes if I do it like this. So that's great. And then if I look at view the page, I should see, yes, I have a button which is named click me. If I click on it, nothing's gonna happen, but I don't mind, right? I'm not supposed to send, I mean, I can send it to a page, but it doesn't really matter in my example here. It won't matter. So basically several information that I'm interested in. The information click me, which is the name of my, let's say, element somehow, and the ID, which represent my element here. So here I named it CTA. In order to track actually this information out to Matomo Analytics, what I could basically do if I was doing it the old way is I could just say, okay, track events Matomo, and I will basically go over here and then click on anatomy of an event, and then go over here and picked it up this line of code, right? So that's definitely what I could do. Just going to use a text editor in order to break the potential quotes that I could have. So I go over here and then I could just say, hey, I just want to add a non-click equal something, blah, blah, and then do it like this, right? And then, so if I click on this button, I want to send information as a category. I'm going to say it's as a category. It's what could I say? I could say CTA. Here, the name will be like say could be click me, and here actually it's not that great. I should use this one over here, and let's here it's CTA, let's say button interaction. Actually here the word CTA, I'm not 100% sure that this is the best solution, but that's what I'm going to do. So event tracking, the anatomy means that this information will be pushed as a category, this information out will be pushed as an action name, and this information will be pushed as the label, let's say, of my event. So if I go over here and I validate it helps if I go on my website. So I'm just gonna move back over here and let's see the performances in real time. And I'm gonna show another strategy afterward. So let's go on my website for the day of today, and let's go for visitor, and let's go in visitor log. And so as you can see up here, nothing happened yet. I'm on the page CGV over here, and now let's interact with this button. So let's click on it several times. If I want to check if the tracking is working or not, I could basically just go within the console and then just let's say click on it, see that seems that actually it's working. I'm just going to refresh by security the page. So yeah, if I click over here, seems that there's no error. At least, yeah, nothing's happening over here, so should be fine. So if I go over here and I refresh the page, normally I should see the different interaction that I performed for this given click. And yeah, I can see that I have button interaction, CTA, click me. Okay, so that's great, it means that it works. But the reason why you may don't want to use that kind of tracking is that actually you need to put your hands within the source code, and that's not the way that we are used to work now with Matomo, as we have now Matomo Tag Manager, which allows you to do everything directly through a given UI. So normally you leave it like this, and you will use instead Matomo Tag Manager. So let's go within Matomo Tag Manager, which is here, okay. And then for Matomo Tag Manager, and this is why I decided to create an ID for my button, because I need to have, let's say, a way of grabbing the data out. So let's click here on create a new tag. That's going to be a Matomo tag, and that's going to be a Matomo Analytics tag, which is acting as an event. So I'm just going to say track button interactions. Interactions going to be the same configuration as the one that I was using, but instead of a page view, I want to have it as an event. So the category, as we previously said, was I always forgot that. So in my case, it was okay. I delete everything, so I'm just gonna look at the element again, and that was button interaction, CTA, and click me. As I'm a lazy boy, I'm not gonna I'm just gonna use the button interaction information. So I'm just gonna say here button interaction, and as I'm a lazy boy, I'm just gonna say action is going to be a variable, and this variable is going to be the ID of my element. So it's going to be the click IDs, and by click ID, it's going to like pick up the ID information, which is in my case, which is CTA. So it will just put CTA and the event name, and here I'm lazy boy 2, and I'm going to say the click text instead. So click text should actually take out the click me information, and that's very useful because the day where I will change within my button here the CTI, it's gonna automatically pick it up without needing me to put my hands within the source code. So that's the thing, and then I need to define what is the condition in order for this tracking code to be fired. So in my case, that's going to be when people click on a given element, and this element is when the element has an ID named CTA, which is true. Click ID equal CTA, and that's the condition to have my tag firing up. So let's create my trigger, and let's now publish my whole stuff out. So okay, that's great, and now I'm happy, and as I'm happy, I can publish it. Okay, so version name is click CTA version. Okay, and I'm gonna publish it. So that's why I check the second button. So now it's published. So now I can give it a try and see if it works. So I can go over here and I can refresh my page. And by refreshing my page, I can just click here and click me. And normally, if everything went properly, I should see it coming in within my UI. So if I go over here and that I go right there and visitors and visitor log, I should see actually my let's say my tracking working, and here I cannot see it, so it's kind of, let's say, problematic. I may have done some mistake, and in order to do so I need to debug it. So let's investigate it. So the first thing I will check is, okay, but do I have my container on the page? So here I have a container which is KJ2. So let's see if that was this container. Is it KJ2? Yes, it's KJ2. So that's the right container, but is it sending actually the information within, let's say, the right account? So that's definitely the kind of thing I should check it out within the Matomo configuration. So let's have a look over here. So let's see. So it's supposed to send information within this account with this ID. So let's look at the ID that I was considering right now. So it's the number 20, which is name, my first name and family name. So let's look at it if it's the right one. So let's go over here within tracking code, and what we can see. So this one is the number 1. So that's the reason why it's not. Let's say that's the reason why I'm not seeing it, is that because it's sending the information to another account, and this account is probably the last one that I have over here. So let's see. So this one's named pweekSDK. That's not the one that I want. So okay, maybe that's the one. So let's check. Let's check it over here and over here. So there's still no data for this report. So I'm just gonna investigate it a little bit more and see what is the number 20. So manage. So if I go under manage, and if I look at the number 20, his name is it's called run and 2. So that's where the confusion came. So run on 2. Okay, so let's go maybe on all websites, because I have many websites. So that's the reason why I got confused. But that's as well a good video for you, because it helps you understand how to troubleshoot a tracking code. And that's, so you have 2 run and 2. So that's even more confusing. And if I pick up this one and I go for the date of today, I should see it appearing. So okay, great, I have it now. So yeah, you can see it, right? Button interaction, CTA, click me, and the value equals 0. So everything's working correctly. It's just that I wasn't looking at the right place, right? So here's already how you can, let's say, measure the performances of this given button, because once the data will be processed through the raw data, it will appear here within behavior and within events. So that's where it will appear. So you can see that here you get the performances of the CTA button and the, let's say the names up. Okay, so here you can see that you have the click me button. What you may be interested in now is to know if the click me button CTI is working better than the get a quote. So in order to do so, what you just need is just to modify here the name of your CTA, so update it. And so of course, if you had hard-coded the tracking event code, you would have need actually to change it over here. But thanks to the tag manager, you don't need to do so, because that's what we call a variable, right? So Now when I refresh the page, I have the get a quote, and yeah, and if I click, let's say, like several times on it, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna automatically grab, let's say, the information out, and you will have the possibility now to see, you see, get a quote coming straight away, without modifying, let's say, the source code. Okay, so that's the strength of a tag manager. And then what you can do afterward is to go within behavior, look at the events. When you will have processed the data, we will see that actually we get the two names, which are get a quote and click me, and you can compare the performances among those two to see actually which CTA is working the best. Here, the frustration that you may have is that you need to make some mathematics. So, of course, you need, if it's just some basic data such as those two, it's kind of easy to see, let's say, which one performed the best. But you may miss some information, or you may need actually to have additional data to take a decision, which are the number of, let's say, impressions, so the number of times that any of those two buttons have been, let's say, displayed on the page. So in order to do so, what you need, and it has been the part of, let's say, tracking content in Matomo, another video that I shared out. So it's a video, so is it mine? Yes, it's mine. So in this video, I explain actually how you can easily set actually the content tracking method, which will actually give you extra data to tell you actually how many times a given button has been displayed on the page. So I'm not going to do this video again, but just to let you know that when you do actually that kind of thing, and you would like to do like kind of a testing, and you would like to get all the data, let's say, within Matomo to clearly understand which button is performing the best, you may need actually more data than just information about the clicks which have been performed on any of those two buttons, and that's what the tracking content is about. Then the other frustration that you may have if you use the tracking content method is that you will need actually to move to this report in order, of course, to understand out of those two pieces of button which one worked the best. And it may be kind of tiring to go up and down in order to, let's say, have those two reports within the same, let's say, UI. You can create actually a custom plugin, and by a custom plugin, you can also create a custom report, and the custom report will be, let's say, the addition of those two reports, event and contents, on the same page in order for you to have kind of a report which is gathering the two reports. So in order to do so, you need to go over here and say custom report Matomo, and say create. So you will reach actually this this page where it explains you actually how you can create a new report in Matomo, and how you can add actually how you can add two reports together on the same report. Okay, so that's, let's say, the way that you could do it. And then you need, of course, to make kind of the mathematics in order to know after that which button is working the best. Okay, so that's the whole thing, and that's the cheapest way you can, let's say, handle. So if you like hacking solution, and I mean, if you know how to write some lines of code, that may be actually the solution that you would like to go for. If you have some money, and that's the second, that's the fancy method that I wanted actually to explain you. There are some other way that you can do it, and easiest way that you can handle this out is if you go actually through the marketplace of Matomo. So if you go on matomo.org, and on matomo.org you get like the marketplace, and within the marketplace you can either go for the A/B testing plugin, which will do all the mathematics for you, or you can either go for the custom report. And on the custom report one, I think that what you could do is basically create a report here which will gather the event category and the performances in terms of impression of the two let's say a CTA button.